And that's something that they're trying to change, like for her to worry less about what other people think. Like, for instance, in qualifications, she fell twice on beam. And her coach said that after the fact, like Kalia came up to her and said, I'm sorry, I apologize to you because this is not a good reflection of the work that you put in. Which is a testament, I think, to the training that she got like prior to this change, and that her new coach was telling her like, no, I'm not disappointed in you.
Remember, this show is PG-13, so you might hear a naughty word or two. Norbert's is having a 10% off sale, Spencer, on table trainers throughout September. You can go to norberts.com for a 10% discount on anything in the store with the code GymCastic. Norberts is also giving away a $50 Norberts gift card that can be used for anything in their online store. No minimum. Just follow Norberts Athletic on Instagram and comment on the giveaway post. Good luck. Today, Laura Capelle is here from France to give a report from the Paris World Cup, where all-around world champion Angelina Melnikova returned from her Russian exile, and Olympic bar champion Nemour proved once again that she's lost nothing since the Paris Olympics. Plus, Chinese trials happened. We'll tell you what that means for World Championships, which are coming up in 4 short weeks. We're going to analyze it all. It is September 15th, 2025. It's our 13th anniversary. Happy anniversary, Spencer.
Ew.
I am here with Spencer from the Balance Beam Situation, who is in perfect Spencer form as usual. Let's start with the headlines.
Yeah, so the Paris World Cup, the big competition of the week. Running through our women's champions, Abi Martin of Great Britain won vault. Kalia Nemour, ever heard of her, won bars. Angelina Melnikova of neutral, we're saying, won beam. And Paris Olympic 4th place floor finisher, Sabrina Voinea, won the floor title. We're going to get into all the details there. What else happened, Jessica?
So Ukraine withdrew in protest from the Paris World Cup once it was not Russia. So Russia is, let's go back in the history.
So Melnikova was approved before this change and all of that. So they approved athletes earlier in the year. So a number of Russian athletes, including Melnikova, were approved to compete as neutrals. AIN is their national abbreviation. So that's what you'll see next to them. And this is the first competition where we've seen Russian athletes compete. We've seen athletes from Belarus compete at World Cups earlier, but Melnikova competed here at the Paris World Cup.
And this also happened in swimming as well. Lots of Russian athletes are back. The most important thing that happened, though, Spencer, obviously, is that the Worlds in Jakarta, which are happening in a month, revealed their mascot. And their mascot is their very well-known flower, which is, I will show a picture of now. And this flower is really well known because it is also known as the stinking corpse lily. And it is a flower that smells like a dead body, but it's very beautiful. It's pink with polka dots, and it's huge. And my favorite thing about this is it looks just like the Demogorgon from Stranger Things. And now all I can do is think about how we should make videos with it when we go to Jakarta and try to make it run after us and chase us through the arena. Do you think that they'll go for that?
No. Do you want to tell the people when we were talking about this on behind the scenes and you couldn't come up with the name Demogorgon, what you thought it was? Or is that special behind the scenes content?
Did I say something like Demogorgonzola?
That is what you said, yes. Which is a cheese.
I mean, it's a brand new word, Demogorgon. Who knew that before 4 years ago or whenever Stranger Things happened? You guys. Okay, we have some updates for you before we get into the Paris World Cup. Spencer, what is happening?
What's happening is the 2025 World Gymnastics Championships, which are shockingly soon. Stressfully soon, one might say. We are going to have 8 days of live podcasts at the World Championships in Jakarta. Jessica will be there. I will be safe from home watching at ridiculous hours that I have not anticipated or scheduled yet because I don't want to think about it, but I'll be ready. Jessica will be ready. We're going to podcast the crap out of this competition, and we will let you know everything that's happening. Club members, if you are a member of Club Gym Nerd, you will get extended coverage and can join us live to ask questions immediately after the meet, aka, did you see that? I can't believe it. We'll be like, yes, we did see it. I can't believe it either. You are also eligible, eligible to win a full commissioned episode. We are doing a fundraiser for Worlds. It is a raffle. The raffle winner will get a full commissioned episode for $10 raffle tickets. The raffle is open now until October 7th. We will draw the winner at our first podcast at Worlds. You will get a full commission, your own podcast on anything as long as it is tangentially related to gymnastics and not Spencer's personal life. Note, other prizes are also available, but it is a raffle, $10 tickets, and you can win a full commission, which would typically cost a lot more than $10. We also have our Paris World Cup fantasy winner, which is Blue. Blue won a mini commission, and we will be reaching out shortly.
Also, our behind the scenes this week, which is a Q&A episode we do live for Club Gym Nerd members, which they can also add to their favorite podcast players. It is going to be on a Wednesday at noon this week. Wednesday, not Friday at noon, Wednesday at noon Pacific, 8 GMT. Also, very exciting, we have a GymCastic scholarship. We have an amazing listener, Rhonda and her dad. They're one unit of listener. One listener. They have donated 10 annual memberships. So they wrote in a very nice letter about how, it's sometimes finances are tough and they want to support us and they want to spread the love and the financial goodwill. So they are sponsoring these memberships, no strings attached. If you want to access Club Gym Nerd content, especially through Worlds, all you have to do is fill out a form. There's a Google form to fill out. There's no criteria. We just hope that you will apply for this in the goodwill that it is intended for. And we will keep all your information private and we won't announce your name. When you win, we will get in touch with you.
If you want to enter the raffle, there is a link on the GymCastic homepage. If you want to apply for the GymCastic scholarship, go to our forum and then show stuff. And then GymCastic scholarship, and you will find out what to do.
We are so grateful to Rhonda and her dad for helping the community like that. So if you also would like to sponsor a scholarship like Rhonda and her dad did, you can email editor@gymcastic.com. And thank you so much to Rhonda and her dad. Good luck, everybody. Once again, we are joined by Paris-based sociologist and arts journalist and critic Dr. Laura Capelle, who has written for the New York Times, Financial Times, and her introduction to Western dance history was recently turned into a graphic novel, which I am enjoying very much.
Thank you so much to Laura for joining us again on the show. And Spencer, set the scene.
Yeah, this is one of the World Cups that we are always most excited about on the gymnastics calendar mostly because of the atmosphere, also the field that it attends. It's typically stronger than a lot of the other World Challenge Cups in the year, and it's a sold-out crowd. There's cheering. It's not like one of those empty stadium events. So we're always really excited about the Paris World Cup. It's sort of the big event before the World Championships. This year we got to see Jessica Gadarova back from her ACL tear. Stars like Sabrina Voinea from Romania. The first appearance of Angelina Melnikova as an independent athlete, which we'll talk about. So for Laura, I wanted to know, you in the arena, what was your experience of the crowd and the atmosphere of this event, first of all?
So I think the fact that the Olympics took place in that arena a year ago actually elevated it even further, in the sense that when I went 3 years ago, it was already a really great crowd, very nice. But I think you could still feel the excitement that Olympic competition kind of brought to the scene there. Like a lot of the athletes, I think, remembered that feeling, and the announcers kept referring back to it. So I think that was part of it. And you could tell that, I think, for gymnastics fans in France, we don't get a lot of international competitions aside from the Olympics, which is a big one. So that, I think, played a part, and you could feel the crowd was more involved even with other gymnasts other than the French ones compared to previous years.
The other thing I wanted to ask you about is at the Olympics, there was Shushing Gate, where during the beam final, the crowd was shushing when your teammates were trying to cheer and the gymnasts were very confused. And I asked you about it at the time, like, what is happening? And then here, it was even better than a normal meet. It was like cheering nonstop. Every time someone run for a pass, there would be people screaming. How do you, as an expert in all things French art, explain the difference?
I don't know if art criticism is going to help us here, to be completely honest. But I can confirm there was no shushing going on in the arena this year, which was very good. It was a strange event last year. I don't know. It felt like suddenly the crowd sort of caught wind of like the idea that you had to be silent to help the gymnast, and suddenly everyone was doing it. Like a weird sort of like crowd moment when everyone seems to think the same thing at the same time. Luckily, this was not repeated here. I don't think it will be. At least I hope not, because it was very strange.
Yeah, it was really nice that was not repeated. What did you think of the setup with men's and women's at the same time?
Oh, that was really great. I was thinking about your discussion of the mixed team final and the issues with setting up all the events all together. It didn't seem to be a problem in this arena. We had all the events, men's and women's, like throughout the day. So what is the issue? Why can't we have a mixed team final with all the events? That finally makes sense.
Did you feel like there was a lot of extra attention? This is a World Cup, so it's supposed to be like a neutral meet, but did you feel like there was a lot of attention paid, especially to the French and not as much to all the international athletes? Like, Melnikova is an all-around world champion and Olympic champion, and Nemour, of course. How were they treated in terms of the attention in the interviews and that kind of stuff? Because there were interviews during the meet.
It's a bit weird, and maybe you guys can tell me if it's the same at competitions in other countries that maybe don't have as much of a gymnastics scene as the US. But here, like, the crowd was really involved, and there were huge cheers for Melnikova when she came in. There was a lot of roaring for the athletes and trying to help them, especially when they were having trouble in an event. So that was really, really nice. But being in the mixed zone afterwards, I could tell that only the French gymnasts were being asked questions. Like, there wasn't a lot of like noticing that actually really big names were in the arena. Like, Melnikova got applause, but I'm not sure everyone realized that this is Olympic champion and world champion Melnikova returning to the stage. It's a bit weird, but I think that's not helped by the fact that the French Federation, like in everything that they put out around this meet, they only focus on the French gymnasts. So you're going to get press releases that only tell you how the French gymnasts placed. Like, I don't know. To me, that's against like the spirit of that kind of competition, but I don't know if you've seen that elsewhere.
I went to the program that they had on the website, and it was just times that the French athletes were competing. And I was like, what? I mean, helpful, but also...
I mean, I'm French. I like French gymnasts, but I want to see good gymnastics. Like, let us enjoy the gymnasts and also give us information about them so we can enjoy them even more.
On the topic of being in the mix zone, did you get a chance to talk to Melnikova? And I'm fascinated to hear what she had to say about competing at this competition.
I did. I can't say that she was thrilled at the prospect of speaking to a journalist. I think her immediate reaction was, what are the questions? So I kept sort of like the most controversial one for the end, but I asked her what the meet was like for her, and she said she was really excited to be back, that she was nervous as well because it had been 4 years, and that she'd kind of like it had been difficult to stay motivated over those 4 years, but she really enjoyed the crowd and she was looking forward to World Championships. She said that there is still a selection event ahead for her in Russia, which made no sense to me. Like, how do you not select Melnikova under the circumstances? But anyway. And then at the very end, like, I asked her why, or let's say if she wanted to speak about the fact that she ran for the Russian parliament earlier this year for the State Duma. Clearly, she was not going to discuss. She just said, no, I don't want to talk about that. And then she left, which I expected, to be honest. I mean, it's not surprising and it's completely fair. She's in very difficult circumstances, but that was what happened in the mix zone.
Yep. Well, thank you for asking that. And thank you for talking to her, too, because it's nice that the international athletes also get attention here because there's so many great ones, like you were saying.
You could see that she was a bit less free than she used to be. Like, I remember your interviews with her once upon a time when she was such a lovely, open Russian gymnast. And obviously, with everything that's been going on, it's completely understandable that now it's like she's a bit more closed off, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to also be really scary for Russian athletes to, if they say the wrong thing, they fly out of a window. So, what did you think of the music that they used to play the anthem? So she won Beam, and they played, I looked it up. I had to Shazam it, but I wanted to ask you Tchaikovsky's Piano Concerto Number 1. In place of, obviously, they can't play the Russian anthem because Russia is banned, so they're independent athletes.
Yeah, honestly, thank you, because you sent me a link to the history of Russia using that music for neutral athletes, which apparently has been going on since the 2020 games, whenever there is like a neutral sort of party in a competition. And I didn't realize that Russia got to choose which music they would use, like as neutral athletes. That seems a bit strange. And obviously Tchaikovsky is such a major musical figure for the Russian state. It's very symbolic for them to have a Russian composer be played. It's very beautiful music. It's very meaningful to me as a dance critic as well, obviously, because Tchaikovsky is a ballet composer, a major ballet composer. But yeah, you can. I mean, that this is also the kind of, the Russian state uses Russian music as a form of propaganda as well, as they do with Russian ballet, for instance. So letting them choose that is a choice. For instance, just to give you some context, like Ukrainian ballet companies have stopped performing Tchaikovsky ballets as a form of protest to say, well, our cultural heritage is being defined like in relation to Russian history, and we want to focus on Ukrainian history. So we're just gonna not perform those ballets and make it a statement that there is Ukrainian ballet and not just Russian ballet, as it's usually considered for like Eastern companies. And so I was a bit, I don't know, it feels like a bit of a missed opportunity to just pick something a bit more neutral, so to speak.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting in reading about that there is like Ukrainian folk music in the composition.
Yeah.
And, so many layers. I'm reading so much into the musical part of it, as you know.
Did you get an opportunity to talk to Nemour or Kaylia Nemour, Olympic champion on bars, or her coaches about her gym change and what she's been through recently since the Olympics?
I did. It was so nice to see her again, because I'd actually went to her club last summer before the Olympics for the New York Times. So I'd seen sort of like her in a coaching situation, and now it's a very different environment. Clearly, she was there in the mix-in with her coach. Kaylia herself was saying that she is doing really well, that she feels really happy with her preparation so far and with the balance. But I think the most interesting part was talking to her coach, Natia Massé, who used to be a choreographer, so she was already involved with Kaylia. But she was saying that they were working on, for instance, she was saying that Kaylia was really educated to listen to other people's opinions of her rather than trusting herself. And that's something that they're trying to change, like for her to worry less about what other people think. Like, for instance, in qualifications, she fell twice on beam. And her coach said that after the fact, Kaylia came up to her and said, "I'm sorry, I apologize to you because this is not a good reflection of the work that you put in." Which is a testament, I think, to the training that she got prior to this change, and that her new coach was telling her "No, I'm not disappointed in you. I know you put in the work. It's fine. It's for you, it's your own career." So that's I think that's a big change, and it's probably a process for her, but she seemed freer already on the competition floor and hugging the French team, and it seemed to be a good atmosphere all around.
Do you think that Nemour's kind of, proclamation about the intolerable behavior that she suffered from her previous coaches, her coming out and talking about that after the Olympics, did that vindicate the French Federation when they, previously they had tried to take her out of her training situation and put her in one of the French training centers? Are they vindicated?
I don't know. It's so tricky. There's so many layers to that story as well. It's not like the French Federation has always been a haven of safe training for the gymnasts. Now, I think one thing that I was wondering about is what's going to happen when her former coach's next big star, becomes a senior. When Elena Colas, like who swept junior Euros, when she becomes a senior, then what happens? Like, what is the French Federation's position on that? With everything that's happened, are they allowed to coach her as a senior if she's successful? Are they reintegrated despite Kelia's coming out and saying this? Like, I suppose it's a question for next season, but it's a really tricky one. I think we're going to see like probably the consequences of that for some time.
What other things like stood out to you from being there at the competition, which we so appreciate that you could go again and ask these questions and watch them meet?
Oh, there were some really beautiful moments. Like, first of all, I don't know if you saw that on the broadcast, but the entire French team for the Olympics came out, including Melanie, who was there. Like, she left Martinique for enough time at least to show up and be embraced by the crowd and adored by everyone there. It was really beautiful. At one point, she was also shown on the screen between two vaults, between two of Lisa Valen's vaults. And suddenly the crowd went wild. I think the gymnasts were like, what is happening? no one is competing. Why is everyone screaming? That was a really, really beautiful moment. There were also some nice moments from the Italian men, who both, that was Thomas Grasso and Gabriele Targhetta, and both of them had a little sign that they showed like on the screen in support of their injured teammate, Lorenzo Bonicelli. They had the hashtag for a fundraiser for him following his horrible injury. So I thought that was a nice moment. I think they wanted to show that sort of that support.
Yeah, I love that they held those signs up. I feel like it was like such a healing moment for the French team and the French fans, because everything that happened in Paris was so awful, with Boyer having her horrible injury in the training gym, and then them having just like really a meltdown, and especially Melanie, who's just so incredible. Did it feel like that?
I know it did. Marine Boyer also got like a beautiful reception from the crowd, but also it felt like the gymnasts who were competing, like because a lot of the French team from the Olympics is not competing this year, that the gymnasts who were competing, like that, things are happening there. Like they're looking really good. Like the federation doesn't seem to be as down perhaps as it could have been after what happened last year in qualifications. We had so I don't know whether to call it like an all French podium, because you had Kelia Nemour winning gold, obviously for Algeria, but still, like she's French.
Yep.
And then Célia Serber and Laurette Charpy winning silver and bronze. That was a really beautiful moment for them, and they were both super clean and stylish. Then you had Morgane Osyssek-Reimer coming out on beam. I didn't realize she was such a beamer. Like she came in with a full twisting layout on beam. I mean, she missed it. I mean, she landed it, but then stepped off. She still won bronze with that. She had the highest difficulty in the final. So it felt like the French team was kind of like in rebuilding mode. I don't know how you felt about it.
Yeah, I think it's exciting to see with Osyssek in particular, because she is a gymnast who I think has got improved so much as a veteran, essentially, not, a star at 15. And she's really become a beamer later in her career, which we often see, as you develop confidence, as you develop experience. But that's really, she's gone from being, she's kind of close to being on teams, to a leader of the team. And you can see that typically in her stability. I mean, it's an extremely difficult skill, the layout full that she's performing, and she fell in the final, but is typically kind of the solid star of the team. And they have so many, like Charpy and Serber not being even on the Olympic team, but are veteran leaders for this team. So it is a rebuilding, but also I was struck by depth that we haven't always seen from the French team, that you have these top athletes who didn't make the Olympic team, but are still able to get huge scores at a well-attended World Cup event is an encouraging thing. And then when you look at how well the juniors have been doing, like you mentioned, Colas, who is, they're going to get some of the top all-around scores in the world once they're seniors. So that's also very encouraging for the French program.
For sure.
There were some routines that definitely stood out in terms of artistry and just having beautiful form and being lovely to watch. Like, we're going to talk about Emma Slevin, because I was like, robbed, except D score, so it makes sense. But still, so beautiful on beam. The Irish girls are amazing. The Irish women, because I know 20, 22, yeah.
2 Irish women in a final. That's really nice. Like, it's kind of unexpected. Like, honestly, and yeah, Emma Slevin was great.
Yeah, she's coming to do college gymnastics in Minnesota where they care about art, and I'm very excited about this. I'm very excited.
Nice.
Yeah. Are there any routines that most exemplified, since you are, I mean, dance is your thing, you have the novel that you edited on the history of Western dance is now a graphic novel, which is the way a dance book should be presented. I'm so excited about this. I love it. And it covers so much. I have a copy of it. I can't understand everything because it's in French, but I do like the pictures. And
do you know what? I should send you, because I've been, one of my summer projects was to translate some chapters into English, just for publishers to look at. It's being translated into Spanish, but I'm really hoping to translate the full thing into English. So, by the way, if any of your listeners know publishers who might enjoy that, let me know. But I can send them to you if you like.
Yes, I would love that, because I love how much it covers. And it goes back to like caveman times to like breakdancing.
Yep.
Yeah, it's awesome. Anyway, okay, so as an expert in this, I wanted to know first how you felt about Ming and her wings choreography, because I'm obsessed with her routine.
Her wings choreography. Okay. If she could just stretch her feet, like, that would be really nice.
Yeah.
While she's doing the wings. Okay. You're always trying to trick me with those questions. And then I'm like, well, in dance terms, like, none of this choreography is really any good. No, Ming is really lovely to watch. Like, I saw on Instagram that one of her French teammates, under one of her Instagram posts, called her my little spring.
Oh,
and she has that quality, like she's kind of like this little like spitfire. It's really exciting to watch her. I think it's still lacking in facial expressions, but that was like across the board in the floor final. When you saw them on the big screen, you're like, no one is engaging with this really, except perhaps Melnikova. But I think actually in terms of musicality, if you're looking at Melnikova, you see that she has better dance basics than a lot of them because of the Russian training. She doesn't have the greatest choreography. I feel like if you have a gymnast of her maturity and quality, you shouldn't have her like shimmying her shoulders like she is a 17-year-old like performing for the first time on the world stage. She can handle Pain of the Nation choreography. And basically, like, I mean, I think the situation almost calls for it, to be completely honest. So it would have been nice to see her come back with like higher quality choreography, but she has that sort of expressiveness through the body that I think is lacking for some of the others. Like for Ming, for instance, one of the issues is a bit like Jade Carey. She's very stiff through her back. So that kind of limits her, because movement usually, like arms, especially arm movements, usually come from the back. So if your back is not really moving too much, then you're just sort of you're just moving your hands, and it doesn't feel very cohesive. Maybe dance classes for everyone. That might be nice. I don't know.
Yes, dance classes for everyone. It is something I would really like to see. I at least I was like, oh, at least Ming chose kind of different music, and it was sort of grand. But yeah, I felt like Melnikova's music, I was like, oh, Melnikova has definitely, there are so many things she does now that are make sure you appear more friendly and non-threatening. And there's a lot of smiling and a lot of like big smiles during her routine and after her routine at saluting. And I was like, oh, this is very different. Like, and the music too in her floor, I was like, this is all very like, I'm just fun. It's like, don't worry about anything else that's going on with Russia.
Oh, it's a shame because she can be so dramatic. And I think in terms of music choices, you can tell also that a lot of the music is being selected to allow for a series of poses. I think the worst was Kaija Tanskanen of Finland, who medaled. That was really lovely. Like, she had beautiful tumbling, but part of her music was just like a series of clicks. So she could strike a pose to the click. Like, no, like no good choreography is going to come out of that. Also, could we like get rid of like the ending pose that everyone is doing a variation on, which is just on their knees, striking a pose with their hands? Like, everyone is doing that. It's all essentially like the same thing for everyone with just small variation in hand placements. Like, it's just, can we do more?
The straddle frog squat. Yeah.
It's the Instagramming of floor routines that everything is designed for the picture that you can share, and rather than the performance that you might enjoy in the crowd, but doesn't lend itself to one shot.
Yeah. To be fair, that happens a lot in the dance world as well nowadays. So it's not unique to gymnastics, but I think because they don't have a lot of dance training, sometimes it's even more striking when you see them.
Laura, thank you so much for being here again, and thank you so much for covering the Paris World Cup for us. And we appreciate every time we get to talk to you, and always your insights about art and culture and dance. And again, you can find Laura Cappelle's work in the Financial Times, New York Times, and of course, I will link to your book so people can check out your 2 books. They can read it in French, or they can look at the pictures in the graphical novel.
Thank you, and thank you for everything you do. I'm really looking forward to your World Championships coverage.
Thank you. Spencer.
Yeah.
Now let's get into detail, nitty gritty.
Let's go.
What's your favorite routine of all time this week?
Okay, so I took a deep breath because I'm ready for you to criticize me for the concept of hypocrisy, and I accept it in advance because I'm going to pick 3 routines for my favorite routine of all time this week, which is just because I've been spending too much time around you. So I've been asked to pick 1, and I'm picking 3. But
so
also
proud.
because I've been watching way too much Bake Off, so I have a winner of the Showstopper Challenge and the Technical Challenge and the Signature Challenge for the Paris World Cup. And this is what I've decided to do. So the winner of the Showstopper Challenge is Sabrina Voinea and her whip to double lay punch front first pass on floor, which was truly excellent. A showstopper of the competition, if there ever was one. The punch front in particular, coming out of that double lay, is so high, so floaty, just comfortable, glorious presentation of a position in the air before landing. That was tremendous. She won the showstopper
And her
challenge.
form is so good on that. That front tuck too. It's like a pretty like floaty front tuck. I was like, and I was just like so nice. I wasn't worried she was gonna like take nose hairs off because it was so low to the ground. It looked so safe and happy. I accept.
Safe,
Your
happy
showstopper.
gymnastics. The winner of the technical challenge was Angelina Melnikova's double L turn on floor. Because she is loading up on those turns. She's like, what if I didn't do any tumbling? She does a double A, but after that, she's like, what if I didn't do much tumbling and just did a bunch of turns? But her double L turn, actual horizontal position, toe pointed, 2 turns around like it is intended to look. So she wins the technical challenge for that. And then the winner of the signature challenge, I think it's fair to say, Kalia Nemour doing her eponymous Nemour. That is a signature element if there ever was one. In bar, Tkachev, laid out, so comfortably done that it's insane, and connected to a pack salto that's huge and high and looks so smooth and easy. So those are my favorite routines of all time this week, my winners of my challenges.
My showstopper was Hilton, Ireland, doing a double turn on beam. Because double turn on beam is very hard, very rare, and we rarely ever see it. So going for it in the neon green signature Irish Leos. I loved seeing that.
That's your signature winner, or the Irish Leos? Having a clear signature color that you're leaning into.
I love that it's like you never have to look up the country. You're like, that's Ireland. Neon green. Would I have worn it in the 80s and now? Yes. Can it go to a rave? It's Ireland. I don't like that on the side of the Leos they had that little cutout. So like in the front, it's like more. It's the sides are sort of like nude. And I thought that was fine, but then they put this weird like bra strap thing in the middle. It was like a green ribbon, and I could have done without that. It was a beautiful Leo. That was like a little overkill. It was a little too.
That's definitely never happened before in a Leo.
That's never happened. It's especially.
We're always like, it's so subtle. It's too subtle. They need to add something like a sparkle.
And then they turn around and you're like, oh my God, party in the back. It's too much. Yeah, but I enjoyed this meet a lot. And so we're going to go through each event and we're going to talk about kind of what this means for World. So let's start with the happiest medalist of all time. Gold on vault with Abi Martin, GB 2024 Olympian, first gold on vault outside of the UK. And I always think of her. She is such
for her. Yes.
Yeah, for her.
Abi Martin, not just
Obviously.
In general.
Yeah.
It's the first gold. Yeah.
Yeah. But I always think of the Paris Olympics when in warm-up, she slammed into the vault so hard And I was like, oh my God, did she just break her ribs? And she, came back and did amazing for the British, but she's so powerful. And yeah, I think you really saw that in this vault. Like, she had, I think, the combination of the best form and the best power, like distance and height together. Because there was a couple of vaults that went up and then came down right next to the vault. But I don't have a problem with this. Schoenmaier was also great, who took second from Germany.
Yeah, I thought Schoenmaier's Yurchenko double full was much stronger than Abi Martin's, but Abi Martin's second vault, they both did a Yurchenko double full and then a round off half on layout half, which was a Lopez. And Abi Martin won it on the second vault with her distance, her layout position, which we'll talk about. Yeah, and I think that was the decider, because I thought she was out of it after her first vault. Abi Martin, her Yurchenko double full. Like, it was fine, but it was a little under rotated. She wasn't super controlled on the landing. I thought, oh, she's out of the medals. And then she came back and really got it on the second vault.
Yeah. I would rather see her like power and hopping backwards out of something than a lot of the landings that were stuck with legs together. I'm like, oh, this is so bad for your ankles and your knees. This scares me landing. Whereas I feel always safe when she does it. And Karina Schoenmaier too is just like so great. I'm really excited for her. Bronze, big deal. Carla Navas, who we talked about, who is from Panama, and vault champion in Pan Am Games. Pagoo things.
Yeah, at that point was the world leader. We talked about it because she was the world leader on vault. She was then surpassed by Lian Wang at U.S. Championships with her Chung, and as the vault average leader. But yeah, Navas's 5-2 with her handspring front lay full was the highest single vault difficulty of the entire final.
Spencer, what does this mean for World Championships? Please foreshadow brightly and darkly and underline it all for us.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I think one of the big storylines of vault here was the 0.2 bonus that's new for 2025. The 0.2 bonus for different post-flight salto directions. So a forward flip, backward flip. You get 0.2 bonus if you're showing two vaults with one's forward, one's backward. Once again, it is ruining Valentina Georgieva's life. From Bulgaria, she didn't win. She was silver at Euros because of the bonus, even though she had the highest two vault average. Here, she's the one who doesn't get the bonus, and it took her from first to fourth. And so she ended up from gold. If this meet had been last year, gold. This year, no medal. And I think the thing that I didn't really realize it was going to be such a deal. I kind of thought this was an afterthought, but I think I really didn't think through that the 0.2 is added to your average at the end. So you average the two vaults, and then if you get the bonus, you add a 0.2 then. So that's the equivalent of an increase of 0.4 for a single vault. That's also the difference in difficulty between a Yurchenko double full and an Amanar. It's 4/10. So you basically get a free upgrade to an Amanar. And I think we're seeing that maybe it has, in my opinion, too much of an effect. That ends up being too much, especially when every hit vault is in the same range of execution scores, like within 3/10 of each other. Adding 2/10 at the end ends up being a huge deal that I kind of think is having too much of an effect, but I think it's going to be significant at Worlds when we see, because most gymnasts get the bonus. And that's kind of why I thought, well, like most people are going to get the bonus anyway, so it's not going to be that big of a deal. But then the people who don't, who are really strong vaulters, who are major contenders, are seeing a huge negative effect for not getting that bonus. So that's going to be interesting.
And remember how this was a big problem in the US for a long time, and we kept asking, at the meets, I was like, what are you guys doing to incentivize this? No one is doing the two different vaults. Like, this is a problem. And they had to start incentivizing it and start working on that at the junior level, because a long time was like, oh, you have an Amanar? Don't worry about it. You have a double twisting Yurchenko. So I hope that Georgieva is working on a different vault.
I think that certainly would be in the mix for learning another vault, because there's so much hardware she's not getting this year because she's not getting that 2/10 bonus.
Okay, how about Flying Banana Jesus? Handspring front layout.
Please describe what you're talking about.
Handspring front layout with a slight arch, hands to the side, like you are the flying version of the Jesus.
Are you talking about you needing people to get their layout positions clear on vault? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
Okay.
So we can get that deeper.
Like Abi Martin, I thought her layout position was very clear on her second vault, and that helped her a lot at the Paris World Cup, because we saw Melnikova got the downgrade on her round off half on, which was she posted the difficulty value for the layout half in both qualification and the final. She got piked credit, and I think that was correct, because she's
That's
piked.
right.
Pretty much the whole time. We saw the exact same thing happening to Jayla Hang earlier this year on her second vault. They look pretty similar in terms of the pike position they're showing. They got downgraded. That's a big downgrade from 4.8 to 4.2, going from the layout to the pike. And again, talking about if all the execution scores are so bunched together, a 6/10 D score downgrade is hugely significant. So that's another thing I'm going to watch for at Worlds.
I want to talk about the men's competition for a little bit here, because they were all on the floor at the same time competing together. Even at the Olympics, there's plenty of room for that. Endo Mikito from Japan. I was fascinated by him because he is another one like Charlie Larson and like Fang Fang years ago, who was a world champion tumbler and then came over to artistic gymnastics. And so I was very interested to watch his technique. And his second vault was messy, but the first vault, a handspring double front full, was so interesting to watch, because he does his handspring, goes up in the air, looks at the ground, and then twists very distinctively. Not pop and twist, and maybe you're waiting while you're twisting to see the ground. It was so different the way he did his technique, and his repulsion was huge. He got so much air. He's still working on the twist. Like, the vaulting is coming along. It's not there. But it was interesting to see such a different technique. And I hear so many tumblers and trampolinists complain about the way that gymnasts are taught to flip, and they don't spot the right thing. And it's amazing they don't get lost all the time. So I just really appreciated seeing something that was so different from him. And, you know, it's a work in progress, but if you want to see what your actual takeoff is supposed to look like in terms of how high you should get off your hands, then yeah, Mikito Endo. And of course, it's not easy to find, because this freaking meet, why is it so hard to be a gymnastics fan? You had to either get up at 4 a.m. here to watch it on the French Federation feed.
Not everything needs to be designed for the West Coast of America. But yes.
But then
time zones are mean.
There wasn't even a replay. I was like, I want to watch all of prelims, but there's no replay.
Well, there's no way to watch prelim. Yeah, you can't.
You
watch
cannot
prelim.
watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, so you can watch it on the FIG TV, has the replays up in 2 parts, but you have to, like, if you were logged in like I was, constantly refreshing to see when it would be up, you have to log out and log back in for it to show up. But it is there now, finals in 2 parts, even though there are 3 beam routines missing from it, which is great. But I do appreciate that at least the FIG made that available. But why is it so hard to be a gymnastics fan? That's my last word on that.
It is funny watching Endo vault, because it's so distinctive from everyone else, and it's so different. And it's how we've been so trained watching artistic gymnastics that I thought, oh, he made a mistake. When he goes up into the air, I'm like, he botched this vault and is bailing out of it because he hasn't started twisting so early. And I was like, it's funny that I was like, my first instinct was, oh no, a mistake, because it looks so different.
Yep. Oh, artistic gymnastics.
You also very much enjoyed Abi Martin's reaction to winning.
Oh my God. How freaking adorable was she? She was so happy. That look on her face with her mouth open, just like, do you see this? I did it. And like she has so much incredible potential. And I think I had no problem with her winning this. I thought it was I like to see. It was safe. It was clean. She had the D. It was nice. Oh, speaking of D, let's talk about bars. And
oh, yes.
Hallie
Nemour is there. And guess what? She won.
Shocker.
Olympic champion. She won by 1.6. And
totally normal.
It was not her best routine. She won by 1.6, and it was like not her best routine. Jessica, she had to do a kip cast on the low bar.
Yeah.
She corrected out of a connection that she would normally connect. And it was like, Killian Nemour does not cast a handstand on the low bar like a commoner.
3 kips. 3
like,
in her
don't
routine.
you know I invented that you don't have to do kips on bars?
Yeah. Okay, what I want to ask is that did she, even though she did 3 kips, did she fix her kip situation? Because she was getting a deduction for doing so when you do a glide kip, you have to totally extend your hips. There should be absolutely no bend in your hips.
Like your position when you glide through.
When you glide before
you'd have to show a like straight body.
Yes, before you pike your toes to the bar, before the kipping action. She used to get a deduction for that. It looked to me here like her hips went totally straight. Even the way that she started her routine, she straddled on that first kip, so her hips stayed arched, and then she did the kip.
I wasn't watching for it, but let me know.
Okay. I think she fixed that.
Yeah.
So Nemour is in the pantheon of the greatest bar workers of all time, right? Is she number 1 or is she number 1? Tied?
You can't spring that kind of question on me. I haven't made a spreadsheet about it. Come on. I think that she has not been around long enough as a senior elite yet to be at number 1. She has an Olympic championship. She has huge difficulty, innovative difficulty. I think she can get to number 1. Like, we can have that conversation after LA 2028 if everything continues on the track that it's on, but I'm not ready to go there yet, is my instant reaction to the question. What do you think?
Even if you only get sent by your country to compete one time and you compete one of the hardest routines ever and hit it when you need to, then I put you in the pantheon. I would probably do that even if you fell, honestly, because it's me and I'm like, you're capable.
Yeah.
You can do it. It's, you gotta, maybe they didn't send you out to compete enough to work
Jessica's
up to the
pantheon
pressure.
definitely has footnotes, you guys. It's not just like a statue of the gods. It's like a statue of the gods, but also here's 5 things you need to know about this decision and also the context. And the socio-political context in which this pantheon was created. Yeah.
My pantheon is more like a stacked pyramid with layers.
Oh, okay. That's what a pantheon is now?
Like a cake.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So you're more like a Mayan-inspired pyramid, like a step pyramid. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. With treats on each level.
Sure.
Silver went to Celia Serber of France, who did a beautiful routine, loved her full twisting double layout, and loved her mostly above the bar, in between the bar Ginger.
Mm-hmm.
It was not. You should catch it above the bar, and she didn't. She caught it with her hips just under the bar, but it is very high. And you don't see that a lot from the in between the bar gingers because it is really hard to swing because there's a low bar in the way, by the way. And it's a little scary to extend and get really high when you're worried about hitting that bar again on the way down. So I was impressed with the height that got.
All French podium. Laurette Charpy in bronze. Yeah. Essentially.
Yeah, I mean, yes. Kaylin Moore is French and Algerian. She represents Algeria. But Laurette Charpy at bronze, I was so stoked for her too because she was neither Celia or Laurette Charpy was on the French Olympic team, but Laurette Charpy before the Paris Olympics also came out and was one of those veterans who came out and spoke about the abusive coaching that she suffered at her gym, which is one of the 2 places that the French gymnasts were allowed to compete by the French Federation, their training centers. One of the coaches was suspended before Paris, Eric Hagar. And I thought it was so nice to see her back, looking healthy, doing great in a competition. She almost did a seat drop out of her pack. Just like it was so caught at the last second on that pack that I was like, ah! But you would not know from the kip out of it was so clean and so smooth. But when she first caught it, I was like, oh, you're almost totally under the bar catching that. Oh no. But I was really happy for her.
In terms of foreshadowing for Worlds, at bars at this point, I'm just ready for the Nemour Young Funyue showdown. And it's just like, it's set up perfectly for us because Nemour's final score She got a 15.3 in qualification. Final score was a 15.033. Oh, that's exactly what Yang Fanyue scored at the Chinese trials, a 15.033 on bars. So the head-to-head is ready. We're ready. It's done. Just let's go to Worlds. Let's get it on. Let's go. I'm ready. Yes, it was gross to say, and I regret it as it was coming out of my mouth.
I am so excited that you said that.
I'm not.
Okay. Speaking
this is
of
the
which,
problem with podcasting. You have to talk so much that then sometimes things come out of your mouth that you've never said out loud before, and then you immediately regret them.
I have no idea. I've never experienced that. Okay, the other really interesting thing that happened this week that gives us the perfect time to foreshadow darkly is Chinese trials happened.
Because Yang Fanyue got that 15. The only other person really who can get a 15 on bars, right, who's competing right now in the world. That was great. I'm very interested to see what happens with China because there is so much potential for a giant medal haul at Worlds this year for China. But like, when do we not say that? And then you get your heart broken. But like, Yang Fanyue is doing well on bars. Zhou Yaqin is the best beamer in the world. You know, if everyone hits their perfect routine, I think she's the world beam gold medalist if she's there. Zhang Qingying, who we loved at 2023 Worlds, was not at 100% in the Olympic year, wasn't on the Olympic team. She won Chinese championships earlier this year and won the all-around at trials and is kind of establishing herself this year as the all-arounder. And then are they going to actually bring a vault specialist? Because Deng Yaolan and Lu Jinru both performed vaults that could medal on vault at a world championship. And it's been, you know, China hasn't had the best the post Cheng Fei, really, track record of vault specialists, but there are people like Lu Jinru who have made finals before and and Deng Yaolan won it. Are they going to go that direction? Are they actually going to send them to one of them to Worlds? Are they going to go with Zhang Yihan, who is someone we've pointed out as having it was on the Olympic team in 2024, having the difficulty on vault and floor that they really need to continue cultivating to contribute to teams this quad. So that's one of the keys. I'm interested to see who ends up going to Worlds because they do have the potential for a serious medal haul this year. But, you know, this year's Worlds, it's so wide open and strange and exciting in that way. And who knows who's even going to be sent. Hashtag Italy, what are you doing? Send everybody, please.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited to see them. I wanted to go back to Nemour for a second because we talked about that. You know, she had to add an extra kip, so she had 4 skills in a row, then 5 skills in a row, and then just her TOEFL double layout sequence. But for her, that is a big deal to have that. Not, you know, that her 7 skills stuck together.
It was only a 6.8.
Yes.
A paltry 6.8 D score.
And what we learned from Laura Capelle, who talked to Nemour's coach, as she talked about a little bit in our interview with her, is that Nemour is training at a new gym and it wasn't really ready. Like, it wasn't up to the elite standards. So she's only been able to train there for about 3 weeks. So she's been kind of going around to different gyms and training. But the new gym, they needed to add a pit for tumbling. So now she has a pit there. And also they have 3 different kinds of beams. So they have all, like, whatever beam is going to be at a world championships or bars, she has them all in this gym, which is always what
this year's Worlds is all on Taishan, by the way.
Yes. And she has a Taishan beam. So this is what I always want for the US men and women. Like, they should have all the equipment at camp. So if Worlds are on that kind of beam, you train on that kind of beam, and on a podium too. There should always be the podium beam that is the one that's going to be at Worlds at a training center. This is what we want. Yeah. So again, very interesting that she has something that, you know, in her situation for Algeria, competing for them, that they've given her such a great training facility, even though she's only been able to train there for a couple weeks. Like, clearly, I know she's bummed with a 6.8 and only a 15, just over a 15, but, you know, she's amazing and it's going to be great.
Other thoughts about bars? Did you have other reflections?
The full exorcism of Olympic demons that happened were fantastic with the all French podium. That made me really happy. Looking at the scores, I really thought that Caitlin Rooskrantz of South Africa was gonna be up there because she had the second highest D score, and she usually has incredible form. Nemour got an 8.233 in E score, and this time around, it was Serber who had the second highest E score. But I was like, Caitlin, you can. This just was not her best routine. She also had it was just shaky a little bit. It was her form was always gorgeous, but she kept getting hung up with not catching quite at the right time, and then her rhythm would be off. And then she had a funky knee, not all the way down, but definitely an issue on her dismount. I also wanted to ask for the judges out there, because I didn't get a chance to do my sending a GIF out to all the judges. So I want to talk about how her coach spots. And if she's doing this, I'm assuming that, if she's done this all this time, this is not an actual deduction. But the way that her coach spots her on her pack is she puts her hand out in the middle of the bar, and then she does her pack kind of, she pulls her hand away as she flips. The thing about this is I know you'll see some college coaches do this, they're spotting a dismount, but they actually put their hand where the gymnast needs to tap and then stand there. And you can, if it's a really little kid, they do a pack, you can, they fall, they'll just land on your arm and then you grab them. But when it's a full grown human that's the same size as you, it's much harder to do that. You can kind of, slow them down. But I was just is that really spotting if you put your hand there before they flip and take it around as they flip? I don't want her to get any deductions, you guys.
Well, she's not being touched by the coach.
She's not being touched, but where does coaching and spotting, where is the line? Because for me, this was coaching, not spotting. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. I mean, I think it's the numbers of cans of worms you're opening up here of how many coaches are doing coaching during routines, verbally or cue wise, is
So the rule is for everybody out there who doesn't know this famously, you're not allowed to coach, but they never take a deduction for this. Famously, was it Panor's beam in Sydney, her coach yelled out what was translated as at the time on TV, to do the full and dismount, right?
And Sydney's not the right.
Not Sydney,
Olympics, but Athens would be when Ponor won. Yeah.
Yes, Athens, do the full and dismount, or something that was translated to the U.S. audience as coaching, which the coach was probably just saying go hard or something. But so anyway, you can't coach, and to me, you could definitely coach with your hands, because just being kick here, spot here, let go here, that's all can be communicated without hands. So I don't want her to get a deduction, and I have questions. So if all of our brevets could get back to us and let us know. I also want to talk about the donkey kick that made donkey kick dismount, which we rarely see.
Explain donkey kick.
So this is from Casa Buena from España. She did. It is so when you're little, you learn a donkey kick in gymnastics, and it's basically you are in a handstand. And you just
kick your coach from behind. That's what that is.
So you do a handstand. It's a way of gaining momentum and learning how to snap down into back tumbling. You do a handstand, you sort of arch your shoulders and you bend your knees a little, and then you kick yourself all the way over past vertical so that you're in that backwards tumbling position. So it is a handstand on the high bar, and then you donkey kick yourself into a backflip and land. And it looks really cool because you're like, wait, why is she stopping on the high bar? And then all of a sudden out of a handstand comes a backflip, and it looks cool, but people rarely do it. It's a C, which you reminded me of, why it's worth doing.
I mean, you're not getting the dismount bonus because it's a C, but it's not, just a flyaway.
Right, exactly. We see it so many World Cups, and we discussed before. But I just wanted to acknowledge the fun of the donkey kick backflip, because it's so rare to see.
This is also the final where we saw Jessica Gadarova. So
Yeah.
she was back at this competition, did bars and beam, fell on her beam dismount in qualification. So didn't make that final, but she did make the bars final with a hit routine in the final. Solid work.
Fought her Yezhova by sheer will and somehow the power of the British.
It's
Celtic
it's
gods.
Gadarova power. She
Yes,
she can do things by sheer will. We've learned
her
that in her career.
Neck muscles alone can make her catch the bar. I mean, that Yezhova, I was like, she's going to spin sideways like a plate off the bar. And she was like, no, I'm going to catch and kip right out of this. So excited to see her back. So super, super successful return to competition after the ACL injury for her. And I think we saw a much calmer Gadarova here. There was a lot less preparation and kind of nerves that you could see on the outside. She seemed very relaxed. So I was really happy to see that. What did you think of the gymnast walking out holding hands with a little kid like it was a soccer match?
I hate it.
Yeah. I don't like it either.
I don't know why. I know it's like normal sports. All sports do it, and it's typically normal. And it just like, I think it's a me problem, but always makes me uncomfortable. I don't like it.
Yeah,
I also think of like how much I would have hated it if I were the age of the children having to walk out, and that's probably why.
Yeah. I think I would have thought it was awesome to like hold, like if I had to get to hold Nadia's hand and walk out, I would have thought it was the coolest thing. But like now as an adult, I'm like, ugh, I don't like it. It's creepy. But I think for the kids, it's like amazing. Also, I enjoyed their mascot as the panda cat wearing a cape as a superhero with a mask.
I feel like we need to look at Worlds and be like, we're post-animal in Mascot. We're on to foliage only.
So what about Rotterdam? Should it be like a little boat?
I mean, yeah, I feel like
lily
tulip
pad?
would be too on the nose.
Yeah.
That's a little too stereotypical for me. It's like, I mean,
It should
the Paris World Cup leaned into French stereotypes, which we haven't talked about yet. Like, I turned on the stream and heard Edith Piaf and saw a ballerina, and I was like, oh wait, where are we? I'm not sure what country we're in right now. So I guess like the Netherlands can do like, here's a windmill with a tulip coming out of it. But I feel like the Dutch might be like, how dare you?
The Dutch would be like, we're too cool for that.
No, this is stupid. Parentheses respectfully. Because you're Dutch. So you just say respectfully, that is a very stupid idea and we don't want to do it.
It should just be a red light district door. With legs.
Great. That'll go over great.
It should be someone who's won their, that contest of singing that you like to watch.
Oh yeah, they've had a few, but like, no.
No, none of them. It should just be the color orange. A blob of orange that runs after people and congratulates them. That would work. Okay, beam.
A bicycle,
most important
a functioning bicycle.
Yes.
Taking everyone around to the different events. With a windmill on, like, the basket of the bicycle has a windmill that has a tulip coming out of it. Yeah.
A windmill riding a bicycle, carrying tulips. Orange tulips. Yeah. We fixed it. There you go, Rotterdam.
We're done. You're welcome, the Netherlands.
By the way, tickets for our Worlds are finally on sale. So if you're going to Jakarta like us, we're going to try to have a meetup of some kind. We just have to figure out where, when, and how we can. Where can we be loud in public in Jakarta? That's what we need to find out. Because not that we're that loud, but we're a little bit loud at our meetups. Okay, beam.
Yes. So gold medal, Angelina Melnikova, who competed all the events in qualification here. Made 3 finals, didn't make the bars final, qualified first into the beam final, and then won the beam final. And as we mentioned, first Russian to compete as a neutral athlete. And then silver, Lena Bickel of Switzerland. Kind of an upset. Very exciting, very solid on beam for silver. And then bronze, Morgana Osyssek-Reimer, who did fall. So we see a 7. If you're watching along with us, we're looking at the D and E scores. A 7-0 E score because she fell. It was a weird beam event, but beam is weird, so that's pretty normal.
Yep. Morgana had the highest E score. She had that full, which was awesome. I love watching her beam and also her super dramatic cat eye makeup, where the cat eye comes from like the bottom lid and goes up to her eyebrow. I'm obsessed with it. And the other thing, the French gymnasts, like Laurette Charpy, changed her leotard from bars. Catch that?
Yeah. Hello.
More of that, please.
You gotta have a second half of the meet reveal, Jessica.
Yes, I love this. And this is like Nola said, what can we learn from Taylor Swift comments? She said costume changes. Yeah. And so here you go. And this is like the first time it's ever happened, but I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, if there's dead time in a meet, go do a costume change. Why not?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if we've learned anything from the classic era of NCAA coaches, is that you wear something sporty for the touch warm-up at NCAA Nationals, and then the teams all go out and they get into their competition Leos, and you get into your competition cocktail dress.
Everybody knows that.
These are the rules.
Yes.
And it's like been very disappointing that Jay Clark does not understand that you are supposed to change into a cocktail dress for finals.
It's a wonder they ever won with him just dressing with like him never wearing a cocktail dress or at least puffy sleeves.
Yeah.
My God. I want to go back to Angelina Melnikova winning this first. So not a smooth routine. This is not a top in the world score or anything like that. But she big waffle after her switch, but her switch was gorgeous. Beautiful. Switch on into another switch. Like so much credit. It was so nice. Another wobble after her layout to 2 foot. No connection after her front aerial to jump. She was very smart to just stop and ignore, she's not going to get the connection, but she didn't fall off. I love seeing a Kochetkova. Here's a Kochetkova. Here's a full twisting back handspring just because Russia.
Yeah, she was just like, here's my wolf turn 1.5, which is not what I meant to do. And we're just going to pretend like that's a skill in the code of points and no one's going to notice.
Did you notice that she did not have side choreo that broke the plane?
I rely on you to notice these things.
This is what I'm here for, Spencer.
Yeah.
I was like, that's not breaking the plane. You gotta just an eyelash, like a head chin forward over the beam is not breaking the plane. So I assume that she did not get her full artistry checklist for that. I want drama in the breaking the plane and the side choreography. Otherwise, I mean, I would have loved to see. I mean, if Morgane won, I loved that routine and it was great. But Emma Slevin, gorgeous.
Yeah, where do you stand? Because Emma Slevin hit routine 4th place, Osyssek fall 3rd place with a lot more difficulty.
So looking at that score sheet again, I was really like, how did this happen? Because I don't understand. And looking at the score sheet, so Melnikova got a 7.9 and Emma Slevin got a 7.9 too, but she only had a 4.8 D score. And a 4.8 D score, you got to get that up. Emma, we need you to do more, connect every turn and leap and connect every single, just don't stop at all in any leaps or jumps or turns. Use the Netherlands system. That like Bickel from who took silver from Switzerland, Lena, she was aiming for a 4 leap jump combo. She only got 2, but she was trying for leap jump combo. And she had a pause in the middle, but I was like, this is Emma. Let's get on this. Do it for Ireland. I need this to happen because your freaking beam routine is so gorgeous. Because if she had the D, she's right there. And it's such beautiful beam to watch. And the judges are rooting for you because they're just like, oh, it's so beautiful. Please get bigger D. What does this mean for World Championships? Did we learn anything?
We learned that just like, oh my God, don't even try to predict beam. And because this was not the final roster one would have expected at this competition, because you have Voinea and Nemour and Gadarova all fell in qualifications. Voinea's fall I thought it was going to be more of an injury problem in her qualification dismount fall, because if you didn't see the video, she missed her second foot punching on the end of the beam for her dismount. I think her one foot didn't even touch beam at all, and then she lands. I think she ended up landing on her back more than neck, but it was one of those like grab everything in sight when you're watching this when she's in the air, because it didn't look like it was going to end well. But we don't know. She came back and competed, but that's anyway, that was kind of scary. But they all missed in qualification, and then 5 of the 8 finalists fell in the final. So it was the lesson is maybe like send a beamer to Worlds no matter what, even if you think they don't have the D score, because who knows?
Yes, exactly. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. It's the opportunity.
Sky and Leanne, now is your time.
Yeah, it's the opportunity. There's going to be no such thing as a surprising medalist on beam at Worlds this year, because you shouldn't be surprised if weird things happen, because it's the year for it.
Mm-hmm.
This is why it's Jessica's. We call this the Jessica Worlds, like the individual worlds. The year after the Olympics is the Jessica Worlds, because it's gonna be like, this is the one where there's the opportunity for the gymnast you've never heard of, who's doing something weird and maybe doesn't have the highest D, but has like an interesting original routine that other worlds would get lost in the mix. But maybe this time they don't, because not a lot of the top gymnasts are going to be there.
This is my favorite Worlds because it's exciting, because you don't know who's going to win. The only person going into these Worlds who are like they're going to win is if Nemour stays on bars. She could fall off once, actually. She just doesn't fall more than once.
She can't beat Yang Fan with...
But this is the thing. She can't. If they both hit...
Nemour wins, but I think it's close.
But Yang Fan could also fall once, and then they could both tie with one fall. That's how good they are. It's between the two of them, basically. But beam, it's like, I mean, I always expect China to win beam, but
yeah, and I would certainly say, if we don't know China's team for Worlds yet, but if Zhou Yaqin and Zhang Qingying are there, they can go 1-2 on beam with hits, but who knows what's going to happen?
Right. I was really looking at Worlds about what the E scores were here, and they were a little bit high, I think. And I cannot see the judge's angle. This is very important. It's a real thing. This is why we need the glasses, like they have in the soccer, what the referees wear. But I was interested to see like Emma Slevin, like her E score was still really high, but there were some things where I was like, she's her dismount, she just never got up in the air. So there's going to be the, dynamics deduction. It was almost like she didn't punch. She just did that. She could have done a cartwheel into that dismount and didn't punch. And there were a lot of fakey wolf turn preps, and preparation is a deduction. You have to just get into your position and go. This is why choreographing your prep into how you get into your wolf turn, if you must do a wolf turn, is so important. This is why I love how the Italians are very creative with it, and how my favorite, Esposito, does her disco ring into her wolf turn position, because it's like you put your hands together and you do a little circle over your, how you used to do it when you roller skated as a kid, Spencer. You remember?
Sure, yes, roller skating. That is something that I did.
If you've been to a pride parade, you have seen this disco move. Let me just tell you. But anyway, I'm interested to see how the beam E scores will be at Worlds based on this, because I thought they could have been a little harsher. But I always feel like the beam E scores can be harder.
Unless it's 2017 Worlds, and you're like, now I feel seen. Everything is a 5.
Yes. Oh, if only we could go back to those days. Okay, let's talk about...
Morgan Hurd's world champion. Everyone's getting a 7-1 E score for hit routines.
The best.
Jessica's living in Canada for a minute. All your dreams are fulfilled.
It was the greatest. There was public transportation that worked. Okay, floor, the medals.
Yes, Sabrina Voinea, Romania, won gold, 5.9 D score. We talked about her whip to AA to punch front. That was the star of the final. Silver, Angelina Melnikova of neutral. Bronze, Kaija Tanskanen of Finland and the University of Missouri, who won bronze with a double tuck first pass. I would say first foreshadowing for Worlds. I think it's interesting because we've talked a lot about, basically since the Tokyo Olympics, about like do less on floor being the motto. Like, and Melnikova succeeded with that strategy, the do less strategy. She had a double lay, but then she had 3 passes. One of them was a front layout full. She counted a B, switch leap, as one of her 8 counting elements. So, she is obviously does not need to count a B. Like, that's not the extent of her level of gymnastics. But she finished second. She finished second because of turns, and she finished second because of emphasizing that I'm going to do 3 D value turns, and they're going to be correctly completed, and I'm going to get credit for it. And she finished second. But there's also Voinea, who won on D. She was only 4th among execution scores. If you can do a whip double lay to front tuck, that still is the winning strategy on floor. This is still a D score based code. But I think what I'm taking from this is there are 2 paths to success, but you have to pick one. Are you D score, D score, D score, or are you paring it down? I think what we're going to find, this is my prediction for Worlds, so then we can, go back afterward and be like, well, that was dumb and wrong. What we're going to find is that the gymnasts who are looking at 4 potential passes on floor, and one of them's like an isolated D element, like a double tuck, that's not going to pay off. I think if you're Joss Robertson and you're like, my 4th most difficult pass is a double layout, then it's like, yes, do your 4 passes, do your huge difficulty, rack up that D score. That's your path to success. But if you're like, and then I have a double tuck and a double pike, it's more like maybe do 3 passes and then like a switch half. Because the thing is, a double tuck on floor is a D, a switch half is a C. So a double tuck that you don't stick is the same value as a switch half. So which are you executing better? Which makes more sense? Which would you prefer training day in and day out, a double tuck or a switch half? And see what's the better choice for a routine, because it's only 1/10 difference. And if you don't stick that double tuck, well, there's your 10th. And now they're the same.
That was a very good way to explain that.
That's how I think about floor composition right now. It's like, does this D tumbling pass make sense instead of the C dance element I know you can do because you're an elite gymnast?
Right. And it's really interesting talking about Voinea winning this. We have a whole episode about this, which I will link to, the definitive guide to the Paris floor debacle, bronze debacle. But if she had not gotten it out of bounds, and if her coach had submitted an inquiry about the correct thing, her E score instead of a D score, which you can't submit. So she didn't submit an inquiry at all.
Well, you can't submit an E score inquiry. You can submit
a D
or out of bounds.
Sorry, yes.
Inquire out of bounds, yeah.
Sorry. She didn't submit an inquiry on her D score. She tried to do it on E score, which you can't. So that was basically void. And she should have done it on the out of bounds, which was taken. I think this was really interesting to see that she cleaned up her routine a lot here. This is a much cleaner routine in terms of her tumbling.
She had 2, she landed short in her double-double, and she fell out of her triple turn that I think was a big deduction, but those were, that's how this skill went this time kind of deductions.
But in terms of her tumbling, which is her thing, her tumbling was much cleaner. And I think there was a lot of demons exercised here. Which, speaking of which, there is so thanks to our listener for sending this in. There is some sports ball team where a fan hired an Etsy witch to
oh no, don't give Jessica any ideas.
To de-hex the team so they could win again, and then they won. So I'm just saying.
Don't let Jessica create a ceremony, a de-hexing the beam ceremony that you have to go through before every meet.
But maybe
some college team that wants to some internet attention, maybe get someone to dress as a witch and do a spell on the beam before the meet, and then release a video of it on the internet. And maybe if you would like some attention that you're not getting, do that. That's an idea for you for free. You're welcome.
And it should 100% be Stanford with a burning
well, they already
stick.
did their stick ceremony with the tree last season. Yeah.
So now they have to do
Tabitha. Just get Tabitha an Elphaba costume and go do a ceremony with the beam before the meet.
Oh my God. And as a gymnast and a figure skater, Tabitha Yim could do something very dramatic in a circle around the beam. Stanford, we're waiting for you. Now is the time. Make our dreams come true. Okay, so anywho, I'm just saying that maybe the Paris beam still needs this because there's a lot of redemption at this meet, but beam,
not so much on beam. Yeah,
not so much on beam. Yeah. Okay, so I do want to compliment the judges because one problem was exercised here on floor, and that is that the judges did not get the out of bounds wrong, which is what cost Voinea a medal in Paris. She would have been the bronze medalist, but there was an out of bounds taken when she didn't take an out of bounds. Abi did not go out of bounds, and the judges didn't take her out of bounds.
Yeah, it was a very funny and excellent save. My two favorite things combined: excellent excellent spatial awareness and comedy, because she stepped and stepped and stepped, but very clearly did not go out of bounds.
She was basically doing that dance where you are bent on your knees and cross your arms and kick your legs out in front of you, but it was like a duck walk that she was doing, trying not to go out of bounds, and it was so close. Like, I zoomed in on that and rewatched it so many times, and she does not go out of bounds. And this is so awesome that this is the same venue, and they didn't get it wrong this time. Of course, she didn't kick her leg, over the red part of the carpet, which Voinea did, which was why an out of bounds was taken, even though she didn't go out of bounds. But I thought that was another, a good sign for the direction of how things have. Some things have been fixed.
Our progress is you evaluated it correctly.
Yes.
Yay, you did the basic expectation of not making a mistake on the out of bounds.
Exactly. Thank you so much. What are other highlights that you want to talk about?
So we mentioned Tanskanen winning the bronze medal, career high floor score. So that was just very cool. Had that double at the first pass of her routine. Lisa Vallen of Belgium. Also, I just enjoyed watching in general here and always have. Did simpler vaults, made the vault final, did simpler vaults than she can do. She can do a handspring Rudy, but cleanly executed, just wasn't going to place with her D score. Ended up in 4th place here on floor, despite having the highest execution score. She did have an out of bounds, but a excellent demonstration of floor leap completion, of rotation, and having the amplitude necessary to do the leaps, the complexly rotated leaps that you're trying. And so I appreciated that. I would have loved to see a medal for her because I want a reward for executing the way she was executing.
Yep. I really loved her floor. And Belgium always brings it. Like, there's always, famously, we've talked about the, dying bird.
Sure. If you don't have 7 different species of bird in your floor routine, are you even Belgian?
Exactly. So always fun. I want to mention Yanni Shoshani for doing, first of all, disco right. Like, you have to, if you're going to disco, you better dance so hard in your floor routine. And for elite gymnastics, that was dancing really hard in a floor routine. She also did a headstand cartwheel, which is when you do a cartwheel, but your head touches the ground the whole time. And that is my prize for, what would this be in the Great Bake Off? The prize for doing stuff that the kids are going to try in the hallways on their way out or in the grass.
That's not one of the prizes, but sure.
The try this at home prize. That's what it should be. Something fun.
Signature. We'll say this is your signature.
Yeah. Something that's like, what makes you like your routine and it's fun to do? Some skills are really hard and scary and you're like, I can do this and it's amazing, but I would rather not do it all the time. And then you get to do your cartwheel on your head. That's fun. I love Ruby Evans' hands on her switch. Did you notice this? Her switch full. Her hands are in 5th position above her head in a leap in the sport of gymnastics.
Shocking news.
They're not like frozen in an ice tunnel battling a polar bear in caveman times position. So lovely. I also love that after she messed up and she had to do all of her sensual rolling on the ground because her music is that kind of music and her choreography is like perfect for her. And she just looked like, oh, this is so stupid. Oh, I have to roll my head now like I care. I'm so
That's
mad.
why you always choreograph in annoyance as your plan, because then it works.
Exactly.
If you're mad about your second pass, well, have I got news for you? You get to be.
Ming, again, I loved Ming and her waves. I just liked her music choice, and I really liked her musicality. Like, there was times when she actually like did a dramatic at the dramatic time in the music, and this is what we mean about musicality. The thing you do goes with the music, which Shoshani did really well. I also want to mention, shout out to Dolgopiat. Obviously won floor. Dolgopiat showed up, he won floor. And is an Olympic champion, world champion. But he did just a very nice, after one of his quadruple flipping passes, just did a nice step, full turn, drop to prone, little beautiful kick. It looks cool. It looks so nonchalant. He was like, I do turns and drop to the floor all day. Like, I'm a gymnast and I make this look beautiful and easy. There were some guys that were tried to do their leaps. Unfortunately, you can really tell where their E-score deduction should come from because their feet literally don't point at all. They're just like a dangling icicle from the bottom of their leg when they do their leaps. So we're gonna have to,
I
work
would
on
love
it.
to think feet to look like a dangling icicle. That seems like great form. You've got a point. Those are pointy.
Okay, so like in a stag jump, both feet look like a dangling icicle at the ground, not
we're talking about perpendicular to the
right, not horizontal.
Okay.
Yes, I mean because a horizontal
I was like, icicle? That's like the drawing in the code of points of that anatomically incorrect woman with icicle feet.
You only get icicles facing sideways in like Chicago.
Okay.
Right? It has to be so windy that the freeze happens sideways. Yeah. I mean, like, anyway, enough about icicles.
Oh.
Okay, I also feel like we should always have a contract signing supervised by Maureen Boyer in the middle of a meet.
What happened?
Did you catch that?
This may have been my break if we were in between sessions. That
Yeah,
may have been like breakfast and shower time.
I mean, this meet was so long, but the crowd stayed, that was over 5 hours.
Oh, God. Oof.
5 hours long, you guys. And in the middle, there was like a ceremony where Boyer and Cyril, I think, was there on the other side. And there was like 3, people in suits who signed something. And Ollie didn't tell us what it was, so I have no idea what it was. But yeah, I was like, yeah, have Maureen Boyer supervise contract signings. I agree with whatever's happening right here. What else? Yeah, the disco routines. We had 2 of them here.
Okay.
I'm okay.
So you're saying like we're done with the 80s and now the 70s is back in?
We're going back in time more. Okay. Yeah.
But I also thought that what is it back in? I can't keep track of these things.
Oh, I know. At least, well, this is what I'm very worried about, is that I'm worried that there's a lot of college gym cheer face creeping into floor. And there's a specific rule against that in the code. There is a specific don't make cheer face. It doesn't say don't make cheer faces, but it is like your face should go with the floor routine. It shouldn't be incongruous with floor.
The only reason your mouth should be open is if you are portraying a banshee in your floor routine.
Yes.
Otherwise, zip it.
Right. Or you're pretending to be a dead zombie who is screaming into silence. That has literally been a floor routine. Shout out to the Netherlands. So yeah, I really, especially like when Melnikova did the thing where she like stops and then she waits and then there's like a train horn and she does like a push with her hands. And I was like, no, Melnikova, you are above this. You are like 25. How old is she now? No horns. I was like, felt like, you remember that Georgia floor routine that with the gymnast who gave her maximum effort, and I'm very proud of her for that. But Abby something, and it was like Abby Stack, and it was, she starts by sitting on the ground and like driving a race car like a toddler, and then she pretends to slow motion. It's the worst thing you've ever seen in your life, but she put her whole effort into it.
I feel like that routine extends to camp in a way it's no longer the worst routine you've ever seen in your life. Like, it's so self-aware that...
Well, this is the thing. It depends.
Well, maybe
I guess,
that's it's too self-aware to be camp. I don't know. To qualify.
Maybe I have to watch it again now it's been like 15, 20 years that I can say like, oh, now it is self-aware. Like, it's not self-aware like the Mario routine or the Barbie routines. Like, those were self-aware enough to be comedy. And this one, I was like, but it's not funny or done well enough to be funny. But I love a comedy routine.
I feel like the facial expressions are over the top enough to let you know that, like, this is, like, I am not trying to, like, seriously perform art right now, is my impression of it. So I don't put it in the bad category, because I'm entertained by this. So,
speaking of being entertained, we did get an amazing moment from Canadian Penn Stater, Tim Sekny. And I just wanted to, could you describe his facial expression? Like, when do you make this facial expression? So that our listeners know.
That feels like, just my first interpretation of that is, you messed up my D score and you gave me a higher D score than I deserved. Is what that is what I got from that. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if they did, but that face says to me, all right, if you want.
Yeah, I interpreted that as like, you don't want it, but it's free. So you will take like
resting free sample face.
Yes. Like when you get a Costco sampler and you're like, well, I don't want this, but like it's free and it has cheese in it. So I'll try it. I love that. I feel like this is a gift that could be used in gymnastics for years to come because it is such a great.
All we want as gymnastics viewers, message to gymnasts, all we want is your actual honest reaction to the score you have just received.
Yes.
If you think it's stupid, we would love to know exactly how you feel about it. Mm-hmm. The idea of being like classy and smiling and waving, regardless of how you're feeling inside, we're post that, we're done.
Yeah.
We're done with that. We don't want it. Don't do it. I want honesty is better than pretense. Even if maybe your honest reaction is unflattering and you might get criticized for it, still do it.
I mean, you don't have to go as far as Simone. That routine was a piece of shit. Right,
yes, you do. Please do. That was her honest reaction to that routine.
That was her honest reaction. But I'm saying you don't have to do that. But like this, like Sam was giving full Simone face. Like, what? And then like a smile, like, well, I'll take it. Yeah. So shout out to him for that. In other news, Andrade has a mini documentary out with her and her coach. And it is a delight, and it will make you feel warm and fuzzy inside, and just give you the nice lift and bit of hope in the world that everyone needs. So I hope you guys check it out. It's on the Adidas YouTube page. It's the story of her and her coach, and she talks a lot about the relationship from the beginning. He interviews her, she interviews him, and you get a lot of behind-the-scenes, goofy training videos, which is all we've ever wanted, for crying out loud. And this week, remember that behind the scenes is at noon Pacific on Wednesday, not on Friday. So noon, 8 GMT this Wednesday, this week. We have the Sambate World Cup coming up next September 26th, and then we have the World Team Selection Camp coming up at the end of September. And thank you so much to Laura Capelle for being here. And again, I will link to her really cool graphic novel in the show notes, as well as all of the things that we have talked about today. So until next week, please remember to take off on gay, split on rights. We'll see you on Wednesday at noon Pacific for our live behind the scenes episode. And until then, thanks for listening. What does this say for World Championships? Foreshadowing.
Yeah, I think it is, because we always talk about the Paris
behind
World
the
Cup,
scenes is TV 14ish.
Sorry.
So you'll definitely hear a naughty word or two.
You guys. Wrong button.